so many exciting college football games to get into, some big conference matchups, and who's going to make the big Heisman statement as the race starts to heat up. Well, to break it all down, I have Drew Butler and Gabe Ickard to break it down with me. Welcome in, guys.
Hey, thanks so much, Stephanie. That's right. Week 7 of the college football season is on deck. And Gabe, how about this? A season-high 6 games between ranked teams. Let's start in the Big Ten, a huge matchup in the Big House. Number 10, Penn State, heading to Ann Arbor to take on number 5, Michigan. This is at noon Eastern. Right now, Michigan, a 6.5-point favorite. Gabe, the total is 52.
Yeah, I think it's clear both teams are going to try to establish the run in this game. Michigan with Corum, Penn State with Singleton and Allen. I think it comes down to quarterback play in this game. And J.J. McCarthy, he's shown some improvement, but Sean Clifford's been in a lot of these battles. I'm going to take the points because I think that both of these teams are pretty evenly matched.
All right, you and I are starting to get simpatico 6 weeks down. You've been hot all season long. I teased you before we turned the cameras on. I said you did not let pride get in the way of your Texas-Oklahoma pick this week. But I like the points here as well, and in my notes, I've got that this is a quarterback matchup. J.J. McCarthy against Sean Clifford. Look at Michigan's schedule, Gabe. Who have they played? They've played nobody. And Penn State is pretty battle-tested heading into Week 7. I circled that big road game. Yes, they went down to Auburn. Auburn, of course, not the best team this season. But that was an atmosphere in which they were tested, and they passed with flying colors. This Penn State defense is opportunistic. They create turnovers. I like Sean Clifford and this high-powered Penn State offense against Michigan. I think Penn State's defense can kind of neutralize Blake Corum in that Wolverine run game. Penn State's only allowing 79 rushing yards per game. That experience in a hostile environment, this is the third top 10 matchup in this series, the first since 1997. I think Penn State, having the experience in that hostile environment down in Auburn, proves to be the difference maker. I like Penn State here. Give me the 6.5 points. It could go to 7, closer to kickoff. Gabe, you and I are on the same side. Stephanie, what say you?
I got to disagree with you guys. Michigan to lay the points here. I think this one's actually about the rushing game. You have Blake Corum in there. He is the highest ranked Heisman candidate that is not a quarterback. He's had over 124 rushing yards in the past 3 games. I think he's going to be a key factor in this one. I'm not too hot on these quarterbacks. The passing game isn't that great with them. I think it's going to be Blake that goes off. Could it be a Heisman moment? I'm not sure, but this next game in the SEC, definitely Heisman potential here between Hooker and the reigning Heisman champion with Young in there, but is he going to be injured? That would be a big question. So I have to ask you guys, do you think this will be the big Heisman test down in Knoxville?
Yeah, it could be a big one. Number 3, Alabama heading to Knoxville to take on the number 6 ranked Tennessee Volunteers. It's the third Saturday in October, Gabe. I know you're there in Oklahoma, but if you're down here in the South, you know what that means. It means Alabama against Tennessee, and lately it hasn't meant much, but this weekend it means just about everything. It's only the second meeting since 2000 in which both of these teams have been ranked in the top 10. Alabama's a 7-point favorite right now. The total 65.5. Gabe, that number would tell me that the pros are expecting Bryce Young to play.
There's no doubt about it, and I expect him to play, and I just wonder how healthy that shoulder is after he missed that A&M game. Hendon Hooker's been fantastic for Tennessee, but I really think this game will come down to who can run the football, right? We've seen what Jahmyr Gibbs is capable of. We've seen what that 1-2 punch for Tennessee is capable of. I just think this is going to be a wild atmosphere there in Knoxville at Neyland Stadium. So if I'm getting a touchdown, I'm going to take the points. I think that Tennessee's a talented football team, and Bama, they haven't exactly looked invincible this season, so I'll take those points.
Yeah, probably the safe bet here. The biggest question, will Bryce Young play? It seems like Alabama is expecting him to. You know Coach Saban's going to play that close to the chest. Jalen Milroe, in that type of atmosphere, I'm not quite sure. Yes, he's a heck of an athlete. He's not very efficient passing the ball. And last weekend, the way he turned the ball over, forget about it if that happens. I would be really surprised to see what happens to the number if it comes out Milroe's playing. And if that does happen, then I'm definitely taking Tennessee. But if Bryce Young is playing, I'm going to go against the trendy dog here. Yes, everybody will be on Tennessee. College game day is there the second time in 3 weeks. What about Cedric Tillman? Cedric Tillman for Tennessee, one of the best wide receivers in all the country, he hasn't even played yet. It's expected that he could be playing this weekend to add more firepower to that offense led by Hendon Hooker. Tennessee is ranked number 1 in yards per game and number 2 in points per game nationally, but the Crimson Tide defense has given up the 6th fewest points and yards per game. I'll roll with the defense here. I'll lay the 7 with the Tide. Contingency plan, though, if Milroe plays, I'd go to the other side. But right now, Bryce Young's playing. I'll lay the 7 with Alabama. Stephanie, you're the tiebreak here.
I'm with you guys. I think that Knoxville is going to be completely lit up. I will be at that game this weekend. I was at the Florida-Tennessee game just a few weeks ago. That environment is unreal. I do think that would be too tough for Milroe. I think it is going to come down to Young and Tillman. That was a good point there. I think that might offset any line movement we will see. But again, Tennessee's defense had 10 turnovers. I think they're going to get a turnover in this game. But Gabe, I got to look to you. Going back to your loyalty with Oklahoma. Are you looking to Utah this weekend as you see Caleb Williams and also Lincoln Riley, the former coach of Oklahoma, heading down to Utah, a tough environment where the Utes perform very well at home and have a chip on their shoulder after a tough loss against UCLA?
Yeah, there's no doubt that Utah's a different football team at home. They are, and Cameron Rising, he's been very good for Utah this season. But one thing they have lacked is explosive plays offensively, and that's exactly what USC can produce. You got to give Alex Grinch and that USC defense some credit, right? We've all wondered, when is that going to stop? All the turnovers, they've been pretty good defensively, and with Caleb Williams and all those offensive weapons, I just think USC will produce more explosive plays. So with the Trojans being an underdog, I'm going to go ahead and take the points. I like USC.
All right, that is going to be an extremely, extremely trendy underdog. I saw this line and I said, what does this even mean? Number 7, USC, going on the road to take on number 20, Utah in Salt Lake City, as y'all just mentioned. Utah's a 3-point favorite. The total here is 65. In what world, when Utah just lost a week ago, should they be favored over an undefeated top 10 USC? This line stinks. You know what that means? I am laying the 3 points with Utah. I know Utah got caught in a look-ahead spot a week ago against UCLA. This matchup was supposed to have all the hype. Yeah, it still has some hype, but an 8 p.m. Eastern kick in the mountains. I know USC's been extremely opportunistic. They are leading the nation, plus 14 in turnover ratio, like you just said, Gabe. That is unheard of. The second best team is plus 9. I think that ends this weekend. I love Cam Rising. USC's offense is feast or famine, and that's been the trend with Lincoln Riley years past at Oklahoma. If they get it going, they're unstoppable, but if there are some hiccups, it could be a slower game. I will lay the 3 here with Utah. This line stinks. I'm going to go with the people who are way smarter than me.
Drew, I got to agree with you. I got burned when Utah went to Florida. They lost to Florida in that one, but it was because of that swamp environment that's making me go with Utah on this one. It's a tough home environment. I don't think that the Utes can feel me again. Plus, I think everyone's overhyping this UCLA loss. Yes, it was bad, but when you look at the games following that Florida loss, the Utes won by over 35 points in each of those 4 following games. So UCLA is a bad spot for them to look at, but the recency effect has me thinking maybe we look at the body of work. The Utes are a good team. That defense last year, looking into this year, we thought they were going to be one of the top defenses. So looking for them to get back on track, and I have them laying the points.
I love it. Yeah, absolutely. Going to be a fantastic atmosphere out in Salt Lake City this weekend, and it's going to be unbelievable all around college football. Like we said when we started, season high 6 games with ranked teams, so be sure to keep it locked into BetOnline for all your latest lines, news, and odds.
Well, Drew, Gabe, Stephanie, thank you so much for all of that. It's going to be another amazing weekend in college football.